it's not a case of having to quickly fill the position or find the person a job as soon as possible because one of our competitors is going to find an alternative person to fill that role, which is what you'll generally come across in recruitment. So it's quite unique, the model that we do, and therefore we can actually give more independent, impartial advice. I'm Ian Woodthorpe, and this is Gap Placements. Judith has really brought into the team is the ability to listen, the ability to take a holistic view, and the ability to actually walk it through step by step, and also to actually hold your hand through the whole process. And I think that's very important.
I'm Judith Burton. We thought it would be a good idea to put a face to a voice. And we also thought that if you're a South African candidate, you are 12,000 miles away. And we thought it would be reassuring to you to actually see who we are, what we look like.
This is a slightly unorthodox way of doing a video. Both Judith and I do feel slightly self-conscious doing it. It feels slightly contrived. But in the same way, I think that since you're sitting on a different continent, it is important, as Judith mentioned, to put a face to the voice.
We realize that it is a huge decision making that move all the way across the world. And there are lots of considerations. It's not a simple process. We're very much aware of that. And so what we're attempting to do at Gap is to get a fulsome, complete specification from the client. I spend many hours talking to them, asking a million questions, so that I can come back to you and give you a three-dimensional picture of what it is that is going to come across your lap if you come to our client and move to that country. So information is the name of the game. We are also very good listeners and would want you to be thinking about things before we contact each other. And you would never be rushed if you work with us. There are some recruiters that would call you and expect to do it all in 10 minutes. We would give you a good, appropriate amount of time to actually consider all of this, because it's a very big decision. And we would take it in bite-sized pieces. You'd have time to think over, is this something I would consider? And then the more complex issues of where am I going and what's going to happen.
I think that, sorry to interrupt, I think that is a good point, because a lot of what I experienced on the smash and grab recruitment side, and what a lot of the competitors in the industry do, is they'll just send you an email job spec, which is a very one-dimensional document, doesn't actually tell you what the job entails, where it fits in. And the point that Judith made previously is a valid one, and that she actually does get a three-dimensional view of exactly what the work's going to entail. And without that, it's difficult to give our clients the service, because the people that we put in front of our clients must be oven ready, as Judith always terms it. So they've got to understand exactly what the role entails. They've got to understand the logistics of the move, and all that side. It's extremely important from our side. In terms of what we specialize in is the career-focused advice, so that you actually, the experience you get overseas does transfer back well to South Africa if that's your aim, or if your aim is to stay internationally for a longer time, that it helps you to set up your career there and your grounding. And how we also differentiate is that it's quite difficult sitting in South Africa to understand where you fit in the greater order of things when you move to a different location, who are going to be the preferred candidates, who aren't. So what we specialize in is actually just educating you on that, and we never pressurize you into making a decision. It's more just make the decision based on the facts, not based on where everyone else has gone, or whatever the criteria may be.
Dublin is the fastest growing economy in Europe, number one. Number two, the European Union is punching in millions of euros into the country in infrastructure investment. What happens? All of the financial institutions, the brokers, the banks, the merchant banks, the insurance companies, the pension funds, the fund managers, the entrepreneurs, the MBI, MBO people, they're all wanting to pile in. What happens then? Everybody has to be audited. It is a legal requirement of every single company. They have to be audited. It is a very cultured city. So if you're looking for things cultural, you could probably go out every single night of the week and not ever have to double up, and you could just continually go to new things in Ireland. Every city has its own ways, for sure, that's definite. But I think as far as Dublin is concerned, you will be you, Mr. Candidate from South Africa, will be a very big fish in a smaller pond. So obviously you will have promotion prospects much more immediately than you would in other big cities, particularly London. One thing that I'm finding quite interesting is the attitude towards people from South Africa. They do very well with Deloitte, and they do particularly well in the Dublin area. And there is a growing South African community there in Dublin. They have a flexi-time offering. You can start anything from 7:15 to 9:15 and finish 4:15 to 6:15. But the best one is early exit Friday. If you do your hours in the course of the first 4 days of the week, you get to leave at 2 p.m., which means you can take EasyJet to the continent for 15 euros or something and see all the capitals of Europe. You get a long weekend every weekend. How cool is that? This company, this Deloitte, this firm, has recently hired in the last year more than 50 newly qualified accountants. Is that a statement of bullishness or not?